Hey everyone, how's it going today? Welcome back to another fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. So we have really great news to share, which is the fact that we now officially have one state. Now there are actually several states that are potentially going to now be working on their own kind of individual stimulus check package, but there is now officially one state that is now approved. Again, keyword is this is an approved program, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. Their own individual fourth stimulus check. In fact, they technically approved their own state check maybe about a few months ago. So it is believed by many, you can even say this is maybe even considered a fifth stimulus check, so fourth or fifth depending on how it is. But a huge congrats now to the state of California, who has now officially confirmed that there will be another stimulus check coming inside this upcoming next month, which is crazy because we just started the brand new month of August. Now, even if you are from a state that's outside of California, do note that there is a chance that other states may be doing something similar. But additionally, on top of that is that we actually do now officially have updates about the general fourth stimulus check in terms of the checks that's supposed to go out to the country, the federal checks as a whole. There is recently a new bill that just came out, so we will talk about that because there is now an actual bill talking about the fourth stimulus check. And this is actually even more true because right now, because of the Delta cases that are starting to kind of pop, there is a belief, this is not official, this is just kind of word of mouth belief, that there may be a sort of change of course at some point now in order to maybe do it. It's very subtle, it's very under the radar, but it's just something that is thought of by some people, that's starting to kind of rise up by some people, largely because of the recent change of course, especially because we are already starting to see a lot of states create like mandates, rules, different policies and different, basically just changes that are going on because of Delta. And it is possible that maybe one of them may happen to be something related to the fourth stimulus check. But of course, we're going to cover all of that in today's update. So maybe as always, before we begin, remember to smash the like button, consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification for similar videos like this, especially if we do get updates about other kinds of programs that come out. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all. It's always great to say hi to new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So we're going to start by maybe talking about the general stimulus check, so the one that applies to every single state in general, because the big thing really to know right now is that because Delta is now starting to really rise up, and you already start to see a lot of states that are trying to contemplate imposing some kind of restriction, even if it's just something related to like a mask mandate of some kind, there is a belief, very subtle, not talked about as much, but definitely reason to speculate that there may be some kind of last minute insertion of the fourth stimulus check. This is actually even more true because at this current time, the infrastructure bill is looking more promising now. They did struggle in the beginning, and they certainly did struggle in the just recent, last couple of weeks, but there is belief, and there's certainly belief right now that it's looking more promising that they may now just finally officially pull through with creating some kind of agreement. Now, there is also now officially one proposal that has now officially come out. So an actual physical bill talking about the fourth stimulus check right here. So we'll probably have to maybe make another update that really dives deep into what this is. So maybe consider subscribing because I want to just balance out this video a little bit. But the big thing really is that this brand new bill/proposal was written by a representative called Ilhan Omar. And the idea is that it's pretty much trying to preach for a universal basic income that was popularized by Andrew Yang. Some of you guys may or may not know because he ran for president and he also ran for New York City mayor. I actually briefly met him as well. So, he did come to a lot of events and rallies in New York City, which is where I met him from. But the big thing is that this is really just a proposal that's going to be doing a $1,200 reoccurring stimulus check monthly to individuals just pretty much across the country. It will probably be a much more focused one, so it will apply to people with very particularly low income. So it's that it is strict, but it's strict in the sense that you'd have to be someone that was really, really on the struggle side. But it is something that it's at least starting to happen now. And then of course the petition that we talked about, the goal is that they're trying to reach 3 million right now. But of course that's something we just have to see what happens, but it is certainly rising with every single day. So there's some level of hope to it. We just have to of course physically see how everything, especially the negotiations, the bills and the talks, and of course Delta plays out in just basically over the next couple of weeks. Now beyond this, is the big thing to note maybe is that there is also recently an approved teacher stimulus check. So if by any random chance you just happen to work in the education industry of some kind, there is a check that's supposed to go out to teachers and educators. Of course, we already made a video that talks about that. It's a $1,000 stimulus check, and this is actually happening, I believe, in several states. Actually, I believe about 7 or 8 states and potentially even more states are going to be doing it. But of course, since we already talked about it in a previous video, I'll put it at the very end screen. I believe the name of that video is literally just called approved $1,000 checks or something along that lines, and then I think for teachers or just something related to that, but it'll be at the very end screen, so you'll know exactly which one it is. But we're gonna pretty much just talk probably the rest of the video really about the Golden State / California stimulus check. So the story within California is that several weeks / months ago, they recently approved, well, I guess at this point several months ago, they approved a Golden State stimulus check that's supposed to apply to certain residents inside of California. Then what they did is probably about a few weeks ago is that they approved an expansion of that, which is basically the same exact Golden State stimulus check program, but what they ended up doing is that they expanded the eligibility now so that even more people can potentially get included. Now, even if you do not happen to be in the state of California, there is this chance that maybe this, or maybe not necessarily this, but certainly some kind of stimulus program can maybe come to your state as well, especially as mentioned is because of all of the stuff with the Delta and everything that's been happening. But focusing on with California, because again it always starts with one state before it dominoes into maybe potentially a lot of the other states, is that they recently, and by recently we're talking about over the last couple of days actually, now approved a second stimulus check, so a second state stimulus check. Some people are calling this the Golden State Stimulus 2, because in a lot of ways is that if you happen to be in California and you qualified for the first state check, some people say that that would be considered a fourth stimulus check, and if you happen to qualify for both of them now, this can now potentially become a fifth stimulus check. But of course, because the fourth check in California was a little bit strict with their requirements, some people are just going to call this a fourth stimulus check. But whether it's fourth or fifth just kind of depends on you and your particular situation. Now, there are some differences about this particular stimulus check, which some people may just be getting this check. Other people may be getting both stimulus checks on top of the first 3 stimulus checks. So in a way, they're getting basically 5 stimulus checks by the end of the month of September, which is next month, which is crazy to think we're now in the brand new month. But there are some differences, and this comes directly from the official California state website, so you know it's as official as it possibly can be. The big thing really, and the big difference between the two checks is that the first one really just applies to people that filed taxes and received the California Earned Income Tax Credit, or that filed an ITIN, whereas the second one now is for anyone that just filed taxes and makes under $75,000 per person or under $150,000 for a married couple filing jointly together. So the big thing is that you can even say in a lot of ways is that the requirement to get onto the stimulus check is essentially the same requirement as to get onto the first and the second stimulus check, the federal checks that we're going to be, that basically apply to all 50 states. So with all of this basically happening is that people are really just labeling this as officially a fourth or a fifth stimulus check, but just because of the fact that this check now will actually apply to the huge majority of people. I believe it is estimated that it's going to be applying to about 2/3 of the state, and because California also happens to be the largest state, so even though it happens to be one state, that one state is probably equivalent to the size of just many of the smallest states in our country, like Delaware, Rhode Island, and all of the small states put together. I believe the population that they're thinking about is about 2/3 of their population, which is about 40 million. So the prediction is that about 20 something million people may be getting, oh no, not actually maybe, because it was already approved, but about 2/3 of the people in that state, so specifically about 20 something million people, will be getting some kind of fourth or even a fifth stimulus check coming by the end of September. They're looking something around the beginning, but I always just say the end, really just for safety in case something were to pop up. So I think that is the really great news if you just by coincidence happen to be in that particular state. But the big thing to notice is that it is going to be a $600 check to every single individual that meets those requirements we just mentioned. They are also going to be doing this to dependents, which I believe will be receiving a $500 stimulus check. So if you happen to be a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, you would be getting 600, 600, 500, 500. So you would be basically getting a $2,200 stimulus check for your family of 4. I think a lot of people believe that one of the reasons this is going on in California is really just because Gavin Newsom, who is the governor of California, is potentially going to be up for re-election soon. So I think it's that he's trying to win some support there. It also happens to be the fact that I think California, because they have one of the highest taxes, so you can even say that the people already kind of indirectly pay for it in a lot of ways, because they have a lot of money that comes from their high taxes. They're hoping to use some of that money in order to fund and create this extra stimulus check, which again has already been approved. But essentially beyond that is that that's pretty much what I really just wanted to cover in today's update. So really great news for one state. Maybe it will snowball into a lot of the other states. And even though, again, this happens to be one state, keep in mind is that this applies to over 20 something million people, because this one actually has a pretty wide eligibility range. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed that and watched this far, maybe consider smashing the like button, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos, or you guys can decide if you guys are interested. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts about honestly just really anything at all. They're doing construction in the back, like upstairs right now, so if you hear a little bit of noise, hopefully that explains why, but we're just really trying to pull through. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.